Mark Meckler is with us. He is the interim CEO of Parler, which we know now is a website of real danger, real extremism. Mark, how are you?
I don't feel like I'm very dangerous or extreme, but that is certainly how it's been portrayed.
Well, do you believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights?
Absolutely,
yeah, there
fundamentally and unequivocally.
Yeah, there you go. I just did a monologue last hour about how extremists are the ones who are trying to get rid of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, but the media and politics in Washington are trying to make those people seem like the Americans, and we're the extremists.
Yeah, they are fundamentally anti-American. They stand against everything that this country was founded on and for. And frankly, those people right now, they occupy the White House and they're in control of both houses of Congress. We're in real danger.
Okay, so you are the interim CEO. If you recognize the name Mark Meckler, it's because he's the Convention of States guys. And he's been talking about that with us for a long time. What was it, about 4 weeks ago? We were talking about the Convention of States, and I mentioned Parler going under or going out, being taken out. And we talked about cloud services. We talked about there has to be somebody that is building the infrastructure for the right to fall into. And you talked at the time about being a part of a movement to do that. Now you're the interim CEO of Parler. Did that play a role, what you're doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, it did, actually. So I'd been thinking about this problem, as we talked about, for a long time, and I've been working on finding alternative service providers and folks who are actual real patriots who would stand in the fight in the event that they were attacked. And so I had a little bit of a head start in thinking about this. I knew the primary owners of Parler. They're longtime friends of mine. And so when I saw it go down, I just reached out to see if there was anything I could do to help. Literally didn't expect to end up being the interim CEO. That's just the way things have worked out over time.
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of it was my thinking in advance. I got to say, though, Glenn, all the credit for getting it back up goes to the staff. These guys have been absolutely incredible.
It has taken, however, a month. I'm not blaming this on the staff by any stretch.
Yeah.
It's taken over a month to get back in the public square. Is there any lawsuit that, I know you're an attorney, is there any lawsuit that can be had for the destruction of business by Amazon and the collusion with all of these companies that we now know happened?
Yeah, there absolutely is. There is a lawsuit that's already been filed. We're working on an amended complaint on that. That lawsuit is against AWS, Amazon Web Services. And I do think there's liability. I think there's all kinds of antitrust stuff. I think there's business damage stuff. But we'll be putting out more on that probably in a week or so when we amend that complaint.
Good. Did you see the just so you have it in your coffers? I'm sure you do. The story that came out that showed that there were many more people organizing on Facebook for January 6th than there were on Parler. You had, I think, 6, and they had maybe 70.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, there's been a couple of great stories on that. One was an independent review by Forbes.
Yeah.
And they found that the vast majority of violent and insightful stuff, that took place on Facebook. YouTube and Instagram were a close second and third. We barely made the list. And so, look, there's always going to be bad content on every platform of that size. But the bottom line is, this was just a hit job. It was a political hit job, but I would also add that it was a business hit job. They see Parler as a real threat to their monopoly on the business market and on free speech, and they're going to come after us.
There is no place, according to them, for somebody who disagrees with the current cabal. There's no place for them, is there? I mean, it's not enough being kicked off of the other platforms. When you start and you go on another platform, they'll shut down the platform.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And look, I think there's two measures to this, though. One is no speech outside what they agree with. Remember that Mussolini said that the definition of fascism is everything inside the state, nothing outside of the state, and nothing against the state. So that's now being enforced by our government, but also by the tech oligarchy and working with the government. And then I think the second thing is a business model. At Parler, we believe in free speech. So if you can say it in the public square, you can say it on Parler. We believe in privacy and data sovereignty, meaning we're not monetizing the data of our users. We're here for our users as a service to our users, not to use them and use their data. And we have an advertising model that doesn't use their data. And so I think that's very threatening to Facebook and Twitter and all the others.
So how are you going to make money when the advertising cabal comes after you guys? I mean, at The Blaze, we have worked on building our own advertisers, and they're, as close to bulletproof as possible because they believe in us and they believe in the work that we do. Are you at that place with your advertisers?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, at the same types of people that advertise in The Blaze or have advertised and will be advertising again on Parler. These are people who believe in the same things that you and I believe, and they're not going to fold to the kind of pressure that the woke media and the woke mob put on them.
So tell me about the infrastructure and how stable it is now. Can this happen to you guys again?
Yeah, look, I'm very comfortable with the infrastructure. And again, this is where my head was at, as you know, before I went to be with Parler. What we did is we went out and we found providers who shared our values, but were also big enough to handle the kind of load that we put on them. And what we did to be sure, and this is really important, Glenn, for anybody who's operating in this space, we made sure that there were multiple redundancies. So we don't have what I would describe as any single points of failure. I'm very certain, I've talked to the CEOs of all the companies that we're working with. I'm very certain they're going to stand with us and not cave to the woke mob. But even if they do, we've built in multiple redundancies, and we're going to continue to add layers of redundancies so that we know we're bulletproof in the future.
So let's talk about, let's play devil's advocate here. The problem that they will say is that we are living at a time where conspiracy theorists and crazy things and white supremacists and all kinds of terrorists can be online. And you don't want to add fuel to that. You should make sure that you have an algorithm that stops all of that kind of hate speech. Tell me why that's wrong if you do think it's wrong.
I do think that's wrong because that runs, first of all, it runs contrary to just our philosophy at the founding and our philosophy through most of American history, really until recently. We believe that if you don't like somebody's speech, bad speech should be countered with good speech, should be countered with more speech, not with less speech. When you start tamping down on free speech, you start creating, well, you'd read about this, you talked about this, George Orwell's view, the 1984 view of the future, which is this idea that the government will control all, that we will have overlords and overseers. Now, I do agree, by the way, that there are far too many people out there pushing conspiracy theories, and many of them are in the Democratic Party in Congress. They're on CNN, they're on MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all the others. And yet, at the same time, I think we should just debunk their conspiracies as we've largely done, as opposed to seeing them shut down, which I'm not interested in doing.
Yeah, I've not asked for people to be shut down. I've supported people who have been attacked by the woke mob, even and especially when I vehemently disagree with them. Freedom of speech means freedom of speech. Talk to me about the person who says, yeah, but now if I go over to Parler, there's going to be all these people, because usually when there's one place to go, all these places that are pushing the boundaries are going to be there, and I don't want to be a part of that.
That's the beauty of Parler, and one of the things that makes it so different from all the other social networks. This big scary word at the social networks is algorithm, and I think people should be scared of that big scary word, because what it means is if you go over there and you like certain things, they're going to start pushing other things at you that sort of they think fit. And this creates what I call the echo chamber effect, and it does put a bunch of stuff into your feed you might not want to see. At Parler, you 100% design your own feed. There's nothing that you're going to see that you haven't requested to see. You can easily remove anything from your own feed. Again, we believe in data sovereignty, and we believe that our users are prime. That's who is in charge of their experience at Parler. We want them to see only the people that they want to see and hear from only the groups and people that they want to hear from.
So tell me now about the people that did belong. How long is it going to take before you're fully running with at least the people that you had before?
So the platform is fully up and running right now. We have the capacity to handle everybody who wants to come back and log on. There are some limitations right now. One of the limitations is we're having folks having trouble with the Apple iOS. I believe that's a technical limitation we're going to get around here today. Part of the problem is with that is that we can't update the app that's on the App Store right now because we got removed from the App Store. We're working on that. So folks can't update it. And if there are problems in there, we can't fix those problems. So that's one of the things we're working on right now, trying to fix that.
I bet Apple is bending over backwards to help you with that, too.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that right now, Glenn, because we'd really like to be back in the App Store because so many users want to be able to download the app.
I know.
So the second piece of that is that we are seeing every day more and more functionality come back. Folks need to remember that this thing, when it went down, it's not just a website. I think if you're not involved in technology and it works, it's seamless, we don't think about what's involved in it. There's so many different layers. I'm so proud of the staff at Parler for literally 16 to 20 hours a day they've been putting in for weeks to get it back up. But we expect to see glitches over the next few days. It's better today than it was yesterday. It's going to continue to get better throughout the week. And I expect that we'll be back to full functionality sometime next week. This week, by the way, we're not even taking new subscribers. We're focusing only on the existing Parler family, make sure everything's up and stable and running well, and I expect to be accepting new users next week.
Is everything that you may have posted before, or do you have to start from scratch if you're an old subscriber?
If you go there right now, likely you won't see any of your old stuff. All that data has been preserved, and we will start loading that. We didn't want to load the system with old data when we first went up, but all of that stuff has been preserved, and it's all going to come back.
Okay. Mark, best of luck to you, and congratulations to everybody who didn't give up and fought the battle behind the scenes. I know what it is like when you're running a digital company and you come under attack like that, especially when you're not one of the, you're not Facebook or Google. It is all hands on deck, and I got to tell you, it's remarkable that you are back in the first place. And you've got to be proud of all of the people that are working behind the scenes, because I know what it takes, and you guys just pulled off a miracle. Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Glenn. Thank you very much. And you're right. It's the staff. I don't get any of the credit. I come in, I get to go on the radio and talk to guys like you, but they're an incredible, hardworking team all over the country. These guys have worked day and night, and they get all the credit for pulling this off.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. God bless.
All right.